heavies, welcome to Heavy's World 2023, a fresh new start. First, before we get going, I want to say thank you to all the heavies out there that supported the channel and the socials in 2022. Technically, yes, it's still our first year, but we got over that hump of 2022. There's been some minor setbacks. Life gets in the way, unfortunately, but thank you everybody for supporting the channel. Thank you everybody so far for encouraging it and just getting involved. It is a new year, so we're going to deep dive into some heavy gaming, and today we're going to talk about the 5 things that I want to see most from gaming in 2023. None of these are in particular order, people. They're just 5 things that I want to see throughout the year that I think will make this pastime we enjoy that much better. But these are my own opinions. You've got your own opinions. Get in, leave your comments on this channel, on the video, on the socials. Get involved. Tell me what you think, and we can always do a video later on and include your views, which is something that I really want to get going for this year, is to really involve all you heavies out there in the discussion and what our topics can be. So first, I'm going to go with a bit of a big one. This is really, some of these are going to include pet peeves of mine, so please bear through the ranting. I promise it won't take long. Games being released with bugs, not completed, major issues. Let's look at some examples from the past. NoMan'sSky was one. Cyberpunk 2077, WWE 2K20, they were all released. They had glitches upon glitches upon glitches, crashes in games. I think Batman Arkham Knight on the PC, they had to wipe it, because they just could not get it to work when it was released. Now, I understand creating a video game is a very complex and involved thing. I'm one of those people that really appreciates it, because hey, you've been around for most of my life, you're a big part of my life, and you're a big part of this channel. But I understand we're in that technical age where we can update games post-release, but if we're playing a game and the skin on someone's face is missing and we've just got teeth and eyes, that's not good enough. If we're playing a game that's supposed to be celebrated for its graphical achievements, I don't want it to look like a pastel painting that's been sprayed with water. I don't want to be driving a car down the street like in Cyberpunk 2027, get out and my bumper is like it's on springs or half the car is missing. I think we're a little bit beyond that by now. I understand the importance of getting the game out there, not just so much for the financial, but so much for the people that get in there and play it, leave their thoughts, you can fix it as you go. I'm okay with patches throughout the life of a game to fix little things here and there, but when you've got to put out patches that completely fix certain areas of your game post-launch, I don't think that's a good thing. And I think us as fans and gamers out there, and the amount of money that we throw into this each year, deserve a bit more. Here in Australia, brand new, a deluxe edition of WWE 2K23 is what, $160? Star Wars Jedi Survivor is worth like $120. I'm estimating you two people, so don't get too literal when you comment on this. If we're paying that much for a game, we should know that we're getting a game that is not only playable, but as finished as it can be. I'm not saying it has to be perfect. I'm just saying let's get it to a point where we don't have to rely on patches that come in with DLC in the background to fix everything. Yeah, I get it. Minor glitches and that pop up, but let's not have game crashing glitches that just make you want to throw the game in the bin or take it back and get a trade in on something else, especially when there's been that much hype about it. And I think that's what kills it. NoMan'sSky and Cyberpunk 2077 both had huge hype surrounding it. They were released and they were such a letdown, and it took months upon months upon months. Sometimes in NoMan'sSky probably took years to really perfect the game, and I'm glad it's a game now that is really celebrated, because it was a great original concept. So please, let's get to a point where we don't have to rely so much on the patches, and just enjoy our game for what it is on that day of purchase. The first day it comes out, you get excited, you put the game in, you set up, you're ready to go, and you want to be able to play it and not crash the desktop or crash the home screen. Up next is a personal one of mine. I'm a huge WWE fan, wrestling fan in general, but when it comes to games, I'm a huge WWE video game fan. I've been buying these games since SmackDown 1, back in God knows how long ago, and I'm one of those people that loves creating things in a game. If I can create something in a game that's a part of me, and it's a part of the game, I love that. And because of that, I love WWE's Creation Suite. Now, I've heard rumblings about this year's one is going to be better, and I really hope it's true, because last year was a really big letdown. It was pretty much the same thing we had for so many years before, with a couple of little extra tidbits here and there. In Creator Belt, I think we got ECW TV and the Attitude Era Intercontinental title. It's woeful considering how many actual championships are in the game. You know, we've got one new arena, and that being the COVID era arena. We could do the Thunderdome, but every time I did it, I couldn't get the people on screen in the audience, or just people. So I don't know why it was there. This, I go on Twitter, I talk to creators on Twitter who love this part of the game. You know, Catchamania, Simon Welf, he is an ambassador for creating in this game. And he's right, the Creation Suite in this game gives this game its longevity once the DLCs have run out. Because you can create and create and create till your heart, you know, until you can't create no more. And it really is a shame that each year we kind of get stiffed in that without any real major progress. So I'm really hoping the news that we've heard this year about that part of the game is true, and we really get something that's a big change for the positive. In my opinion, any arena that's used in the game, any title that's in the game, including titles of the past from WCW and ECW, wherever, we should be able to use those parts in the Creation Suite. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. Let's go on now, shall we? Open world games. I get it. I love them. I used to just dive into them and immerse myself in them, and they're great. They really are great. But does every game need to be an open world game? Do we need every game to be in the same format? Does you know, we've gotten to a point now where we are labeling a new game as a genre from a previous game, like, oh, it's a Souls type of game, right? First, that's good, but it's kind of sad that we've come to that. I do love open world gaming, but you got to have the time for open world gaming, and not everybody has the time. One of my all-time favorite game series is Uncharted. 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one was a bit short, but hey, I really didn't mind. I still played it, loved it. These games aren't games about boosting stats and grinding and going through an open world and searching every nook and cranny. Yeah, there's levels and you can search for treasure and everything, but you start each part of the game with an objective, and that objective, it may change slightly throughout the course of that level or map or whatever, but you get to the end. It's not just open world and travel all around. There are some games that are open world that are utterly boring. I played Biomutant at the start of last year, and I was really excited about it, despite the fact that I'd heard some negative things about it, because I'm one of those people who likes to judge for themselves. But it was a boring grind of a game, and it was such an original concept in a way. So it was very frustrating, very frustrating. I understand the need for open world games, and there are people out there that have the time for them, but there are a lot of people too who don't have the time for them. I have a wife, I have a child, I have a full-time job. I love to just jump on the bloody game, the Xbox, jump on the PS5, sometimes the PC when it's doing what I want it to do, and simply immerse myself in a game that has a beginning and an end, within reach. Not something that I've got to play for 5 months before I get to the end. I know that's an over-exaggeration. That's just how I feel about it. That's why I absolutely love Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, and as well the newer God of War games, because they are kind of like a mix of both. They give you the areas, you kind of have an open world feel, but at the same time it's not too open world. It's enough to keep you satisfied and to keep going. Up next, when I was a teenager, I loved first-person shooters. I grew up playing Doom. I grew up playing Wolfenstein 3D. I grew up playing Duke Nukem and Rise of the Triad and Quake and Hexen and all of those. They were my jam when I was a teenager. I have no real problem with first-person shooters. I'm just not a huge fan of them now. I prefer my third-person, viewed games. I want to be able to see the character, especially if it's a game where I'm putting so much investment into creating that character. I'm going to go back to it again. Cyberpunk 2077 put all this emphasis on creating a character. We didn't get as in-depth creation suite for the character as we were originally promised, but we still got a decent one. There's such a focus on armor and your look, because in the cyberpunk world, in the genre, it's about looking cool as hell while you do your thing. But it's a first-person shooter. What was the point? What was the point in going through all of that painstakingly so the only time you get to see your creation is in a mirror, not even in cutscenes? So I don't have a problem with first-person shooters. I just have a problem when they're used in a way that's illogical. So I'm going to bring it around to the Fallout games. 3, 4, New Vegas. Both games gave you the option, even Skyrim gives you the option of playing in the first person perspective or the third person perspective. Why can't we have that? Why couldn't we have had that in Cyberpunk 2077? Saying that, and in hindsight, probably not a good, it's probably good we didn't, because it probably would have added a whole other layer of glitches to the system. Why can't we have that option when there is so much focus on creating a character? I've got cool weapons like mantis blades that come out of my arms. In the original footage, we could climb walls with them. You are doing some major damage. It looks cool as all hell. It's like Wolverine, but with one claw each arm. But we're in first person mode, so all we're seeing is this. I don't want to see that. That's just, that doesn't make sense. If you're going to make a first-person shooter, make it to fit the constructs of the first-person shooter genre. If you're making a game, role-playing game, where you invest so much time, so much energy into your character, their look, their weaponry, every aspect of what they look like, give us the option. Because in a game like Fallout and Skyrim, I roam around the world in third person. But if I'm dungeon crawling, if I'm walking through a building to clear it out of super mutants or whatnot, I'll go first person because it's closed, and that's what I want. I want that it's dark. I've got my gun. I'm walking through it, or a sword or whatever. I'm walking through a building and it's kill or be killed. That's when I want my first person. But when I'm roaming a world, which is a huge part of games like that, I want my third person. So why not give us both? Don't limit game. Could you imagine games like Call of Duty if you had the option of both? But then that would open up another can of worms, because you would have to look the part and everything. But I understand there's games that don't need third person. I understand there's games that don't need first person. This is just my opinion. Instead of giving us one or the other, especially in a game like Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, Cyberpunk, any type of big role-playing game, why not give us, the people who are paying for the game, the option of which type of view that we want? More original content. I know, we're going to get it. Just hear me out for a second. I love remasters. I love remakes. I loved Final Fantasy VII when I was younger, so when the Final Fantasy VII remake came out with the whole new combat system, I was literally like a fat kid eating cake, pun intended. But at the same time, I want to be wowed by an original concept too, and we do get it. We do, right? And when we do, it's great. Off the top of my head, this is just me talking because I don't play every game out there in the world. I only play what I want to play and I only play what interests me. In my opinion, the last 3 games to have wowed the crap out of us was The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, and even though technically it's a remake, or more so a sequel, the newer God of War games. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself there with the last one, but I'm including it because it was so vastly different from the originals. It wasn't just a platform. It didn't feel like a platform hack and slash. It wasn't in Greece for starters. There was a whole lot more to that game than meets the eye. The Last of Us, I absolutely cannot stand zombie survival games. I think the zombie genre is played out, absolutely done. But The Last of Us did a game about that in a way that pulled me in, because it's the game. The game wasn't just about killing the zombies, killing the clickers and the creatures. It was about the human evolution of the characters. It was about that driving the story forward. But it was also a game where it was like, you know, if you haven't played it, spoilers, that the biggest monsters out there weren't just clickers and the creatures. It showed you what desperation does to a world and what that desperation does to humans. That was original. Horizon Zero Dawn, the concept was like, this is like caveman stuff. This is like tribalism and everything, but we've got like freaking robotic dinosaur creatures roaming around. What the hell is this? It was at its core stories have been the same for eons, but it's those concepts wrapped around those stories that pull you in, and that's what pulled me in with Horizon Zero Dawn. It was this fresh, newer concept that I absolutely fell in love with. Same with The Last of Us. That first game, it hooked me from the start. Then the second one, literally, as soon as I heard the strings of the guitar playing Future Days by Pearl Jam, I knew I was going to get such a punch and a kick to the gut emotionally. And I did, to the point where I actually got sad over the death of a character, and I've never done that before in a video game. That's how great it was. And I haven't finished it because I don't know if I could handle any more characters I know going out like that. I will finish it one day, just need some time and space. So there you have it, heavies. There's my 5 things I want to see come from gaming in 2023. As I said from the start, these are my opinions. You can agree with them, you can not agree with them, that's fine. Just don't be an utter D-I-C-K in the comments when you're discussing them. We're all here for the same thing. We're all here because we enjoy this stuff. So, like, subscribe, leave your thoughts below. Leave your thoughts on our socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Insta, we're on TikTok. I know, trust me, that's something I never thought I would ever use, but I am using it and I'm kind of enjoying it for this purpose. So get involved, leave your comments and thoughts, and if you have any ideas for a video that you'd like to see in the future, drop me a line and I'll see what I can do. So, thank you very much, heavies. This year, I've got a feeling it's going to be a great year for us. Let's knock it out of the park, shall we? Check you later.